Alright, this is part one of me coding a calculator from scratch. I'm going to be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Oakley dokley. Alright, cool. So let's get started. So let me run this. Sorry, so I can clear my screen. Okay, so I have the basic scaffolding set up, right? I have my div structure. Like I always start by just fleshing out a skeleton div structure. And basically, the way that I have it, right, I have my main container, which I'll close it up. So my main container contains everything. The display container is like the display for, I'll close everything up and expand it. The display container is the container where the numbers will be. And then the buttons container is the container where the buttons will be. So I've basically broken my calculator into two separate sections, the top and the bottom. Top being the display, the bottom being the buttons. Inside of those two containers, I have the display box, like so that I can actually style the box, which has nothing in it. And then I split the bottom part into two sections, one for the numbers and one for the operator buttons. I'm sure it'd be easier to show this if I like drew a picture, but for now, I'm just gonna code it out and I can reiterate like what I was talking about once I get to it. So let's just jump straight into it. When I'm coding stuff from scratch, I basically just like to get it to look like what I want it to look like, you know, even though it's ugly, and then go back and make it look pretty. So for the first part, right, for our main container, I'm going to, let's give it some style. Oh, and just as a reference, I'm using JS Fiddle. You can use JS Fiddle at jsfiddle.net. It's basically a real-time editor where you can do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and immediately hit run and see the output here in this window. So let's get started by giving the calculator some size. So I know I'm gonna do mobile dimensions just because I don't feel like going through the whole responsive thing. I'm just gonna make it all mobile. So the height, I'm gonna give it 480 pixels. The width, I'm gonna give it 320 pixels. I'm gonna give it margin auto, and that's so that it stays centered in the middle of the page. And then I'm going to give it a background color. So background color, let's just make it blue for right now. So I'm gonna hit run, and voila, I have my blue box. All right, everything else is inside of it, and you know, we'll go back and forth, and I'll use Chrome developer tools as I go just to inspect and try to help out stuff too, because sometimes you gotta debug. Okie dokie. Where am I? Let's do the display box, or the display container rather, next. So for the display container, I'm going to give it, let's say, a height, see what 80 pixels looks like. Let's give it a width. Let's give it a dynamic width, which is, let's say, 80%. And 80% means it's just going to take up 80% of the width of the container it's in. Height, width, and then let's give it a background color just so you can see what it looks like. And sorry, I'm a really loud typer. I apologize. Let's see, background color. Let's make it pink. Okay, and then just hit run. And you can see there's my box there, but it's not doing what I want it to do. So this is where the Chrome developer tools comes into play. This is what makes doing CSS easier for me. That way I don't have to keep saving and going back and forth. So I'm gonna inspect, and I have mine popped out. Usually it pops up at the bottom of the screen, but I popped it out. So as you can see, when I hover over different things, it'll highlight it. So I am hovering over, this is our display container, so I'm going to click it, and I'll make this one wider. There we go. So this is my display container. It doesn't, right now, there you can see the styles that I did over here. I'm just going to go ahead and play around with these to get it to the way that I want it to. So we want this to be centered too, so I'm going to do margin auto. So you see I moved it to the center. And then I'm going to keep that there. I'm gonna copy this and come back over here. Transfer it. And then I need spacing on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the main container and give it maybe like 10 pixels of padding at the top, which should push this pink box down. And it does. Let's push it down somewhere. I'll give it 20 pixels. So, and then if you want to see your changes, you can just push padding top. So let's go back. I think I want to make this, let's make it 90 pixels. Yes, I like it. Okay, cool beans. So now we got our display box. So let's keep moving. So now I need down here, which is where all my buttons and stuff will go, I will need to make the buttons and the two separate containers that they're going in. So what I'll do first, let's go to, we got buttons container and display container. So inside button, oh, my music just got real loud. Okay, so div ID, number buttons. Okay, so yeah, so inside of buttons container, right, I got number buttons, so I'm not gonna worry about buttons container for now. I'm gonna worry about number buttons. Let's give it a height of 100%. Now I can switch over to percentages because I'm inside of another container, so it has a container to measure the width of, the width and the height of. So let's give it a width of, let's do 75 and 25 and see what happens. 75%, and then let's give it a background. Oops, if I could spell. Let me turn it down a little bit. Background color. Did I spell background right? I think I forgot the G. Let's give it a background color red. Let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so there's nothing there. Let's give buttons height, auto, width, 100%. Hit run. I still see nothing. So when this happens, we pull up Chrome Developer Tools and we figure out what the issue is. Okay, so there's my buttons container. So let's make it height 100%. There we go. That's why I couldn't see it. Okay, height 100%. So let's make it height 85. Oops, not 185. 85%. Let's make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Because I want to give it some padding. Let's make it 75%. And then let's do margin top. Let's give it 5 pixels. And let's keep going until it's like, yeah, that's good right there. Okay, 23 pixels. And then let's give it margin left. Oops. Margin left. Let's give it 10 pixels. I'm gonna line it up with the display window, which is at 15. My OCD says it's 16, so I'm gonna leave it there. But okay. So then I need to make the width a little bit smaller because I know, and this is the buttons container. Wait a minute. I'm styling the wrong thing. Poops. Okay, let me copy this. This is what I need for the actual numbers. I'm styling the wrong thing, y'all. Please forgive. So let's say height 80%. Let's take it down there. Only give my buttons some space. Okay, and then let's make the width. So I gotta put this somewhere. What was that? That was for the number buttons. Yeah. put this here. Take out this height and width. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to be styling the. Let me bring the dev tools back. There we go. Okay. So buttons container width is 100%. Let's make it. There we go. That looks good. Don't you agree? Let's see. We could just give it. Let's just give it margin. Auto. Nah. Let's just do all 4 sides. So let's do top. We'll make it 15. We don't need it on that side. Okay. Don't need it on the bottom. We just need it on the top and the right. There we go. Okay. Don't be redundant. Alright. So we got our display box. We got our buttons box, which I think I want to give it a little bit more on the height. There we go. My OCD is tripping, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay. So we got our buttons box. This is the box that's going to contain the display. This is the box that's going to contain the buttons. Let's keep on going. So I need to take this code here, and I need to put this on buttons container. And then I will hit run and see that everything is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So let me, here, I'm gonna take this out. Let's just take it one step at a time. Sometimes when I'm going too fast, I'll just delete the code and start over. So let me hit run. And now I see nothing. This is wonderful. Where is that damn? Okay. Let's inspect. Buttons container. Right there it is right there. So what we got? Height. Let's see. Background. Color. Red. Okay, there we go. So this should be 100%. And actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes CSS just does what it wants to do. So let's make this 89.5 because my OCD is like killing me. 89.5 just because I'm special, y'all. I'm sorry. It gotta be even. Okay. That's the width. Okay, so that looks right. Let me copy this over to my buttons container here. And that's something you'll learn doing programming. Like, you think the code will behave one way, but sometimes, most times, it does not. Okay, so cool. We got what we need there. So let's do our number buttons and our up buttons. Okay, so let's give it a height of 100%. Let's give it a width of 80%. Right, and then let's give it a background color. Shit, I don't know. Let's make it yellow. Think about eggs. I'm hungry. There it is. Right? So let us do. Let's do this. I'm gonna actually scoot this down just a little bit so we can have more room. Let's do this. So it's yellow now. I'm gonna make it 75 because I can already tell that's not gonna be enough room for my operations buttons, right? So let's fuck it. Let's make it 70. 70. Oops. 70%. Okay. And then I'm going to do my op buttons. Oh, and I need to float this left. I'll show you why in a minute. Run it. Okay, so then for my op buttons, I need to do pretty much the exact same deal. So So I'm gonna cheat and copy and paste. But instead of 70%, I'm gonna make it 30%, not 300. And we will make this teal because why the fuck not? So if I did this right, this red square should turn teal. And it did. Wonderful. Okay. So now I got the space for my, so y'all see what I'm talking about with the skeleton and whatnot? Basically, I got everything in the shapes that I wanted. So now all I gotta do is do the buttons and put some text up in here to make it the right size. And then I can dive deeper into making it actually look sexy and presentable and all of that stuff. So let's go into number buttons, right? And again, OCD. So I'm gonna do it like that, right? So I got my calculator. Y'all see all my sections. You saw the code that I put just to pause so y'all can get a recap of the code. The main container, right? We made it blue, so that's what the background is. The display container is pink, right? The buttons container, which contains both the numbers and the operators, is red, but you can't see the red because my operators and my numbers buttons are on top of that. So the whole back of this container is red. Then I have my number buttons, which will go on this side. Those are yellow. And then I have my operations buttons, which will go on this side. That is teal. Okay? That was a mouthful. Let me drink some water. Hopefully y'all are enjoying this so far. I gotta do my obligatory. If you like this video, smash the likes, smash up the likes, press the like button, subscribe to my channel. I just created before I made this video. So, but yeah, if you're enjoying it, please let me know in the comments. Press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll do more stuff like this if it's helpful. If it's not, well, shit, I'm just gonna put it on my portfolio so I can call it a day. So, continuing on, let's do our number buttons. So you have a couple of options with this, right? I could just do a bunch of divs, but I think I will take the unordered list approach, right? And then I'll make all of my buttons LIs, right? So let's put 1. All right, so let's think about all the buttons that we have. We have, what is it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a period. So let's do 0. Oops, sorry. And then, the order that they're in, the 0 is at the bottom. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, and oops, 9, niner, and the period, right? Okay. So now if I hit run, it's gonna look crazy, but they'll be there. So look, there they are, right? My unordered list. So you see, and then I'm gonna give it an ID so that I can style it. Let's call this numbers. So over yonder, I'm gonna fix this because I don't want these little dots showing up next to my numbers. And I can't remember if I styled this on the list or the individual LIs. So let's find out. Pull my editor back up, and then I will inspect this. And this is like 100% like how I develop all day, every day. Like even on the job, this is what we do. We just try shit and see if it works. And if it does, great, I'm gonna commit it. If not, nobody has to know but me and God. So let me see. I think it's you have to do it on the LI. Decoration is a none. Womp. I think it's on the U. Maybe it's on the UL. Shit. Decoration. None. Okay. All right, y'all get to see firsthand what we do. How to remove bullets from UL. Let's see, by setting the list style type property to none. All right, cool. Let's go there. And anybody who thinks developers don't do that is full of shit, because we all do. Like, we all Google shit, because nobody is going to remember all of that stuff. So what was it? List style to none. Yes. Okay. So for what is that? I need to set that on my UL. What do we call a UL? Number. So I'm gonna make a class. I'm gonna use the ID selector. Pick numbers. And then I'm going to put list style none. And then I'll hit run. And they have disappeared. Wonderful. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, instead of putting a class or individual ID on all of those LIs, I'm going to select them using their parent container, which is numbers, right? The UL list with the ID numbers. So I'm going to do the ID selector, numbers, the caret. And basically what this is saying is I want to select every LI that is inside of numbers, right? So we're going to give them all height, let's say 50 pixels. Let's make them square. Width, 50 pixels. Give it a background, color, white. And then let's see what happens. So there, they all got, right? And you see it goes past where I need it to be. So, but we'll take care of that soon. Just for visibility's sake, I'm going to give them a border so you can see them. Hold on. I'm going to give you a border so you can see them, and then we're going to move them around. So we got border, 1px, solid, and I'll let it be the default, which should be black. Yeah. All right. So now you see my numbers, my little buttons. We're getting started, right? So now I want them all to show up next to each other. So let's float them left. You're gonna float them left, and they're all gonna stack on top of each other, going like that way. See, watch. Right? So now they're all floating left, but there's only so many that can fit on a line. So now I'm trying to figure out why I got all this space here. So I'm just gonna open up my handy dandy Chrome developer tools, y'all. And then you can see all of the ULs here. Let's see what's going on with this. So let's give it height, auto. Nope. Let's give it a height. There we go. So let's give it a height of we want it to be as tall as the container itself. There we go. I don't know if we need them. We might have to resize these buttons, but for now that's fine. So let's give it a height of 340 pixels, and then margin, auto. Let's see. What is going? There's something going on inside. Padding. That's what it is padding. Okay, so let's give it padding of 10 pixels. You can see it gave it padding of 10 pixels all around. Let's do. I think that's good enough. Yeah. And then let's cut back on the height since we have padding now. We don't need all of that height. So you can see it moving. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna give my numbers. I'm gonna add this to it. Let's come back here. Okay, we're gonna give numbers, the list style, the height, and the padding, which should give us, okay, perfect. So now what we want to do for our numbers, like the LI, we want to give them their own individual padding, right? So let's give them padding of, let's say, 5 pixels all around and see what that does. It should space them out. Woof. Sorry, not padding, margin. My bad. We want margin because padding is on the inside, margin is on the outside. There we go. See? Now they are separated. So with that padding, that pushed some of them down to the next line. So what we want to do then, let's cut the width down to, let's try 40. The width and the height down to 40. Oops, not 400. And then let's see what happens. We can get 3. Okay, that's all right. I'm not really feeling it. I'm gonna take the padding off of the numbers container because I want more room, right? And then let's see what happened. As you see now, they moved around. So it needs to be, okay, so I have to explicitly set padding to 0 because if I don't, then the default padding for ULs is going to take over. Okay, there we go. So I set the padding on the yellow, the numbers container, to 0. That way I can apply the padding just to my numbers. That gives me more space across to make these keypad, like number keypad thingies bigger. So I'm going to come back to width. Let's try making them 60-60 now. Oh, that's a little bit too big. Let's try 55. I'm trying to get 3 buttons on the same line. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, let's try 50. I know that's what we had when we started. Okay, I guess that'll be good enough. And since there's so much room at the bottom, I'm going to change the height of the main container then. Since the calculator is so fucking big, let's just make the whole shindig smaller. Let's see. I'm gonna make the height of, I'm gonna start with the main container. Let's reduce that height and see what happens. So you see how everything's shrinking in proportion because we set percentages for some of those. So now I'm just gonna adjust this here and then I'm going to go fix everything else down. So we stopped at 380. So let's change about 100 pixels, 380. And then I need to change the size of some of my other containers, right? So let's do the buttons container. The height of that needs to be shorter. So let's make the height of the buttons container 71%. Yeah, let's make it 71%. So buttons container. And sorry if it's confusing me hopping back and forth between Chrome Developer Tools and JS Fiddle. It's just easier to edit stuff on the fly using Chrome Developer Tools because I don't like having to save and refresh and go back and forth. Like, it's irritating to me. So I'm gonna hit run. Okay, so all my stuff, this looks like a good size, which actually gives me room to scoot this down. Okay, so buttons are showing up where I want them to show up. Let's see. Let's give them, I want to change the margin on the buttons. So if you look, right, I want to give them a little bit more on the right hand side. So let's see, margin, margin, sorry, not the right hand side, the left. Margin left, let's make it 10 pixels. No, there we go. So we need to make the margin on the left 8 pixels so that it'll take up the entire width of our buttons container equally, and it looks nice and spaced out, and my OCD is satisfied. Okay, so let's hit run, make sure it sticks. All right, and then we need to make the numbers bigger. So let's do And again, I'm just going to go back to developer tools to keep it quick. Let's do font size. Let's see what 12 pixels is. 12. Let's go up. Keep going up. Keep going up. And I think 40. 40 is a good size. So let's do font size 40. And then let's do text align center. Now all of our buttons are centered. So I'm going to copy this because, again, this is live. This is not me actually editing code. So I'm going to paste it there. And then hit run. Perfect. These look like how I want them to look. This is wonderful. So now I just need to do the same thing for the operators, which is over on the side. Okay. So I'm just going to do that good old copy and paste. I'm going to take the whole UL actually. I'm going to copy this whole UL. And then I'm going to come down here into my op buttons, right? And then I'm going to hop on in here. We're going to name this operations. And then there's only, I think these buttons will be bigger because there's only, what is it? I'm only doing basic operations. So I'm going to do, let me look at my sheet. PIMDAF. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So I'm going to do multiplication. I'm going to do a small x for now. I'm going to do division. And I'm going to do addition. Aunt Sally. So addition and then subtraction. So I don't need all of these. Okay. Let's hit run. There they are right there. Oh, and then I need the equal sign. Duh. Can't forget the most important one. Let's see what we can see. Okay. So if you remember what I did last time, I came in here and I made I used the ID selector to select the UL or the unordered list. So operations is what I called it. And then I gave it, what did I do? I gave it a list style. And then I gave it height and pattern. So let's see what happens if I apply the same thing. Okay, cool. So now I need to style the buttons, the individual buttons or the individual LIs. So I'm going to use that ID selector again, operations, caret, and then I'm going to select all of the LIs inside of my operations, which is UL. I'm sorry, that's bothering my OCD. We're almost there with part 1. We're at like 33 minutes. So thanks for sticking in there. If you're still around, you're a very patient person. Okay. So I'm selecting operations in the LI. We can steal a lot of stuff from over here. Like I want the button. Let's start off with the buttons being the same height and width, the background being white, the border, and then we'll go from there because we have to do these buttons just a little bit different because there's only 4 or 5 of them rather. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I have all my buttons? Yeah, they're all there. Okay. So now I'm gonna pull up Chrome Developer Tools again so we can just get it done faster. I need to inspect these right here. All right, so and then you can see there's my code right there, operations LI. So let's give them a margin 5 pixels all around, which I don't know if that's gonna fit in there. And then let's take this padding. Let's see, this margin at the top. So let's make the margin on the parent container that smaller. Okay, so I can see right away all my buttons are not gonna fit in this box the way that they are currently. So we need to reduce these. So before we do that, let me go back and edit this. So under operations, we added padding 0 and margin 0. Let me add that before I forget, because remember those changes aren't saved. Okay, padding 0, margin 0, and then you can also press F12 to get that to open back up. And then we need to change the button size. So let's try making it, I think 45 will work. So let's do 45. And I actually kind of like it not being not being square. So let's leave it 45 and 45, 45 and 50. And then let's give it, so let's do the margin on the side, or margin left, really. So margin left, 5 pixels. Did it work? Yes, there we go. Make it like that. Okay. And then let's do, we need to do the text. Yeah. Font size. Sorry, it's almost dinner time. I'm getting brain foggy. Let's start at 12 pixels and keep going until it's to a size that I like. I think that's a good size. 36. Make it 35. And then text align, center. And then let's make them bold. Font weight, sorry. 200. No, let's say bold. Yeah, font weight bold. Okay, so we have our buttons. Let's take the styling over here and put these, what is that? That was LI. So I'm just gonna replace all of this with my LI styling. All right, when I hit run, it should stay the same. And it does. Okay, so there's one last thing we need to do. We're at 37 minutes, so I'm gonna hurry it up. We need to put text in here so that I can see what it looks like. So let's figure out where we are with that. That would be my display container, which would be my display box. So let's just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and see what happens. So there it is. Let's style this MRFer. We're going to use the ID selector and we're going to target a display box. And then we're going to give it font size. Let's start at my usual 12px. I'm going to hit run. And then I will go to Chrome Developer Tools. And I'll change it from there. Let's see which is the best font size. Let's say, no, that's too big. Just in case we get a lot of numbers. Let's make it, because that's what, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So right now it's at, what's it, 100 million? Okay. Like in terms of the number of decimal places. And then let's give it margin auto. Nope. Let's give it a width. And then 100%. Let's make it, we need room for padding. So let's make it 80. Nah. Let's make it 90. Make it 90. And then give it a margin auto, and that should center it. Auto. Or maybe not. What's going on here? Oh, it's just because you don't have enough numbers to fill it. Okay, whatever. That's fine. So margin auto. Okay. So we got the numbers in display box, and then let's give it padding at the top. Padding top. 5 pixels. 6, just till it gets down to where I want it to be. Since this is a static width and height, we can set these numbers explicitly. Okay. 14, nope. Yeah, 14 pixels is good enough. Okay. So then let me copy this. This is gonna go in display box. Paste. Hit run, and bada bing, bada boom, we have an ugly calculator. It's ugly, but all of the features are there. So I'm going to end this video here. This is part 1. You all did a fantastic job following along. If you're still here, huzzah. I might go back later and like edit the spacing and stuff, but for now, I think this is good. This is a good start. So now we got the design part, at least the rough draft of the design part, out of the way. I can wait till I get to the end to make it, like, to fine tune it. For now, the next thing I want to focus on is the functionality, and that part is going to take a lot more because we have to take different factors into consideration, like PEMDAS, the order operations and all of that shit. So, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Hopefully it exists when you see this video. And yeah, I will see you on the next one.